Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. If you are new here, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. And of course, my fellow fans of the show, I love it when you come back. So thank you so much. A reminder that you can always like and subscribe and listen to the show on your various streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcast. Most importantly, you can interact with the show, leave a comment, follow on the various social media platforms such as Instagram at The Root of the Sci Pod and Twitter at The Root of the Sci Pod. On Facebook, you can join the Facebook group at The Root of the Science podcast. Now, let's get into today's episode. My guest today is Letta Ntuli. She is a PhD student in chemical engineering and works as a laboratory technician. In this episode, we learned that from a young age, Letta had a flair for maths and science. Growing up nearing a mining town, she was also exposed to the careers such as engineering. She chose to pursue chemical engineering, and she talks us through the academic journey. She recently graduated last year with a master's in chemical engineering, and we discuss how she managed to start and complete her degree during a pandemic while working and also being a mom. It's a lot. This year, Letta starts her PhD program where she is developing a non-invasive glucose tester machine using biological biomarkers. She gets in detail about this fascinating research and its importance. Lastly, we chat about the challenges of being a woman in the engineering field and the issue of women engineers who are qualified but are not staying due to several factors. Listen in as we chat about all of this and, of course, so much more. Let's go. Hi, Letta. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Anne. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. And, I say this every single time to everybody, but for you, it's extra special because you've been an extra special fan from the beginning. So I'm so excited to have you. So thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I really like the show.
Yeah, no, we know.
Thank you so much.
We see your tweets. But anyway, before we get started, can you just give us a brief introduction? You know how this goes. Who is Letta? Where are you currently based? And just briefly, what are you currently doing?
Okay, my name is Letta Ntuli. I am from South Africa. I was born in Pretoria, but I was raised in a small village in Limpopo called Appel. I am a chemical engineer by profession, and I'll be studying my PhD soon in chemical engineering, and I work at a university as a lab technician.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. We're going to get into all of these amazing stuff and your PhD and etc. But, we have to get to know you away from being a PhD candidate and a lab technician, which is all things science, of course.
Yes.
So you told me that you are a mom of the sweetest boy. You have a 6-year-old son, I just wanted to ask you because, that's a dream of mine one day. So what's the best part for you about being a mom to your boy?
Lihuma, I think he thinks I can do everything.
Oh.
So it's really interesting getting to experience life through his lens because when I was writing up, I went home to write up, and so I was with him most of the time. And I thought he wouldn't understand the work schedule. He would just wake up and then sit with me and be like, "Mama, I'm just gonna be quiet. I'll stay there and just watch you work." And that it was so fun. I enjoyed that so much.
Oh man, that's so sweet. So wait, does he know that you are a scientist? Does he understand what that is at his age?
I don't think so. I don't think he does. Because usually when I'm in the lab, I take pictures of what I do so that I can share with him what I do, but I don't think he's interested in that way. He likes butterflies, insects. So we are always going butterfly hunting and all of that, but also he kills them, so...
Oh wait, this was like a really cute picture and then it suddenly turned dark. Like, how do we go to butterfly hunting, killing them?
Because what he does, he will usually go and then he will try and bottle them in and I'll tell him, no, they need to breathe. Don't put them in the in a closed container, but he doesn't get it because if he doesn't close, then they'll escape. So what he does, he closes the container and,
Oh, so they
that's
suffocate.
how it happens. Yes. So it's really just interesting watching him, through these experiences and stuff.
Yeah, no, but I'm sure as time he'll understand that, hey, butterflies need air too. So I think maybe just, can you not like put in some holes in the lid so like maybe they live a little
Yeah,
longer?
that's what we tried. I always try these fun stuff to make it, so that he gets it. But he's busy, so
Yeah.
he gets so busy because we're playing with butterflies, and then he'd go music. So yeah, it's a lot.
Oh, that's so adorable. I love it. I love it. And I think the best part, what you said, is that how you said that he thinks you can do everything. And I think sometimes it's a great reminder because sometimes we kind of minimize ourselves. And I think that's the beauty of kids. Mm-hmm. They remind you that, hey, you are actually capable of doing so many things. So it's quite beautiful that your son has kind of gives you that, perspective, right?
Yes, it does. It helps out a lot, especially when things get so tough. And then, this person that views you as somebody who can do like everything. Because he'll just take his bicycle and be like, please help me with my bicycle. And I'm like, yo, guys, this is so hard.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
But, we do it.
We do it indeed. Oh, that's so special. He sounds like a ball of fun, and there's obviously so many stories, and we can sit here for days. And speaking of stories and childhood and stuff, let's go to your childhood. Okay, so how does Letta get into the science? How you're a chemical engineer? Like how? What is the root of your science?
So growing up, I think for the most part, I am more inclined to mathematics and the sciences, right? So if you were to, I do have, that eye for the arts. I can really draw well-ish, and I can write sometimes, but I find maths and science easy. So this is why I leaned more towards maths and science, right? So when I was choosing careers, I first wanted to be a forensic scientist when I was in grade 8, right? But then I realized that there isn't really like a linear path to being a forensic scientist in SA. So you'd have to start on a BSc degree and then do a whole bunch of other stuff, right? And then in grade 10, I got adopted into this mining program that was encouraging high school students to be engineers, right? So they'll literally just take you on from grade 10 up until 12. They introduce you to these different types of engineering careers that you can get into in the mining industry. So you get to meet like engineers in real life. And for me, I was like, actually enjoy chemistry more than physics per se. So I leaned more towards chemical engineering because then that will include me being in the lab. And but I also wanted to be a metallurgist, but I was like, chemical engineers do work as metallurgists, right? So let me just lean towards safety and just do chemical engineering just in case one day I end up not liking metallurgy as a career. So that's literally how I ended up doing chemical engineering.
Wow, what a story. Okay, so many points about how, well, the first part about you raised a really important point because even for me, I think growing up, forensic science seemed like such an interesting route because of course of the shows of your CSI and what it looked like, oh my gosh,
yes.
I want to do that. But it goes to show that like in South Africa, like where do you even start? So I think there were many of us who would have liked to do something like that, but it's like, how, what's the basis? So it was a little bit tricky. And I love the fact that your school then brought, for example, something mining is also another career that
because where I was raised, it's a small village that's next to a mining town. So this is how they'll get to adopt the certain schools and well-performing learners to be engineers. So that's how
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question because like what was the reasoning behind? But then it makes sense that because you guys were aware of miners and mining, it was okay to connect those dots. And I think it goes to show about visibility, about seeing the possibility that you can be these types of things. And I love the fact that these minds or whatever are really connected at the grassroots with the students at high school level to be like, okay, there are all these, because I'm gonna butcher this word, what? No, it's not meteorology, that's weather. What is the mining one?
Metallurgy.
Yes, that
Metallurgy.
one. Yeah, I honestly had no idea what it was. I kid you not, until sometime last year when somebody was telling me about that. So like, these are the types of things that we don't even know that such fields exist. So
Yes.
it's quite interesting. Anyway, back to you. You said, okay, Sharp, you want to take chemical engineering because just in case this mining thing might not work out. Okay, so this is in high school. How do you go about it in undergrad? You go straight into an engineering degree, because these are two different disciplines, chemistry and engineering coming together in one. So how do you go about it when you start at undergraduate level?
So I do chemical engineering. So it's mostly just, maths and a whole lot of physics principles. So it will be thermodynamics, a little bit of chemistry to my surprise. So that's what I did in undergrad. So just chemical engineering. We only just do chemistry in first year, and the other part is just a whole bunch of maths and theories.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That's really great. So it's a 4-year degree, right?
I studied at University of Johannesburg. So I did my diploma in chemical engineering first, and then did a BTech afterwards. In chemical engineering as well. Yeah.
And then, of course, you went on to do your master's that you recently finished last year. That's what you were talking about earlier when you're saying you went home to do your write-up. First of all, girl, well done for finishing your master's in a pandemic. Oh my goodness.
What? I actually started and finished in a pandemic.
Really? Oh, wow. Start and finish. No, all of you guys deserve awards, because how are we doing this? So congratulations to you. And speaking of,
thank you so much.
The toll of doing a degree or a postgraduate degree in a pandemic, you have been so open and vocal about it on your social media platforms, which I'm going to put in the description box so people can follow you. But you were very open about your journey and just how lonely it was, so it's kudos and it's huge for you to get there. So would you mind just sharing how those 2 years were for you during I would like to say it's like 1 year mashed into like 10, but it was 2.
Oh, no, it feels like a lot.
Yeah. So how was that for you?
So for me, I think most of my friends are not postgraduate students. Most of them work, right? And I don't think in my immediate family there's anybody who's gone as far as a postgrad degree. Oh, wow. So now I think the worst part is that I also work full-time, and I'm a full-time student, right? So I always had to find balance between, if I have free time, this means that free time is my master's work. So whereas other people's free time is time to see friends, see family, connect to the things that you used to do that give you joy, right? Like reading, because I really enjoy leisure reading, but now I have papers to get through. So this means that
the joy was taken.
I have to park that other side. You really can't be talking to people that are not interested in sensors all the time. So you literally just keep to yourself, mostly because there's submitting paper, there's failed experiments, there's the administration aspect that really comes with your project as a principal investigator in your master's work, right? So you literally have to be everything. So it gets so lonely. And I've always asked myself, how do people reconfigure after postgrad? Like, how do you assimilate back to, being a friend, being a sister,
being a mom,
just being, yes. So I think that's part that I'm still grappling with. And I hope that, as I begin my PhD, I'll be able to navigate better,
Do you think because of what you went through, and because I also sort of can relate with that, where my master's, honors and, undergraduate was different. There was a lot more interactions, but for me, it was a shock with masters that, oh my goodness, like I'm alone. There's nobody who I can be like, are we studying together? Because we all have such individual projects, right? So what I realized is that I didn't even realize I was drowning until after I came out, you know? So with my PhD now, I've kind of been able to be like, when it's a lot, and, you know, find communities and support and speak to people who are, even if they're not doing the same thing, but just find that like a place where you can talk about these things and you suddenly feel like, okay, sharp, I'm not really that crazy, you know? So for you, do you think, given your experiences, you are able to, as you now start and prepare for your PhD, I want to say better in inverted commas, but because we all know it's postgrad, but like, do you think you'll be able to, in inverted commas, navigate it better now?
Yes, I think for the most part, we really neglect the aspect of rest. I am a big fan of rest, you know, because like we just need to, because I think there's this culture in academia that people don't sleep, people are working around the clock. And I am a better human being and a better scholar if I sleep and, you know, sleep enough hours, run, you know, and actually just rest. So I think for me, I'll just really prioritize resting in between all the work.
No, I hear you. And oh gosh, now we're going to talk about this PhD that you are about to embark on. Yay, a red gown gang. You know.
Right.
So your research briefly will focus on health diagnostics, miniaturized bio and chemical sensors for monitoring diseases. So that was obviously just a slight headline. Can you tell us more about what your project intends to do, and also just why is it so important?
Okay, so you do know the glucose testers that they draw your blood in the hospital, right?
Oh yeah,
like when you yes. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to build that smaller sensor like that, but that is non-invasive. So instead of using blood, for instance, so I'll just use a non-invasive biomarker in your body, maybe like sweat or saliva or your breath. So yeah, and I'm trying and I'm hoping that at the end of the day, it will be non-invasive, low cost, so that, you know, because I mean, a very small basic glucose tester that you get at Clicks, it's 500 rands. This is just the small machine, excluding all the other extras, right? So we have a history of sugar diabetes in my family. So I've really just experienced the costs that involve medication and, you know, living with a chronic illness. So I'm trying to find ways in which we can be able to make this accessible, affordable, and really non-invasive, because I really don't like blood. And if I can do anything about it, then, you know, I'll be very happy.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my goodness. What? You're doing such exciting stuff. Okay, my next question is, okay, I want to say how. How does this happen? Is it too complicated? Because wow, that's so cool. So yeah, how? Like, I don't know. That's a
so I'll say not too complicated, but I'm not sure. So really, because initially when I started in the field, right, I was for my master's and the other work that I used to do before I moved to the university, I used to be a chemical engineer in a group that does a whole range of chemical sensors. So this will be biological sensors, environmental sensors. That's the work that I focus on for my master's. So a whole bunch of the work involves electrochemistry. So the core of the work is electrochemistry and then fluid dynamics. So it's literally just this sort of different fields combined into one. But because I've garnered a whole bunch of experience to be able to make this thing that sounds so complicated into a real life thing. But there's a lot of research that's done on it, just that there hasn't been so much into the commercial work. But also I think what's missing in the industry is making it low cost and accessible to just any other person, which is so important to me, because I mean, we can do all these technologies that are fancy and so nice, but if my people cannot afford them, then why are we doing this, you know?
Yes, for sure. I love science. It's got a very that has society at the core, because you mentioned something very important, that we do all these fancy, amazing work, not to take away from that, but how is, your grandfather, how is he able, like in the rural areas, how is he able to access that when it's like this 500 Rand thing, that's somebody's grant money from the government for them to survive for a month? So if you're able to make it low cost, that's pretty cool. You mentioned a word called biomarkers. So just for somebody who's not aware of what that is, because you said that instead of the invasive like blood where it pricks you, like the one that happens now, right, where it pricks you, then you get the blood and then they run the test and then you're able to get your reading. So with this, you said you're able to use sweat, or I don't know, other chemical biomarkers. So what are biomarkers for somebody who's unaware and is like, okay, this is exciting, but what?
For kidney diseases, for instance. So if you are suffering for kidney diseases, right? So I can use your urine, right, to monitor urea. So the urea in your urine will be a biomarker to indicate if your disease is escalating right levels, or it's below. So that's the type of thing that I hope to look at. So in your breath, so if you want to monitor sugar diabetes with your breath, you look at the acetone levels in your breath. So that will be the biomarker that you'd look at, for instance.
Oh, that's so exciting. I love this research. I'm so excited for you, and like how, like you said, that it's able to be commercialized, and it's not just going to be science that's in a laboratory, but it's got such practical real life effects. So wishing you all of the best, and give you a good 3-4 years, and where the show is, you'll come back and you'll be like, hey Anne, I've got the patent for my for my non-invasive machine, and it's going global. So I see this, and I'm so excited for you. So just know, I know it's not going to be always easy, but it's going to be so important, the work that you're doing.
I think for me, what's helping and what's continue to help is that I'm in an environment where I get to experience and interact with students every day. So I think that helps actually lessen the load. We don't, like, nobody does my kind of research in the university, I can say, or in the school, really. So, but, talking about somebody's problem that's not related to my work, I can be able to strategize and help them, navigate from, that, even if it's just a laugh, or just having coffee, just something other than, the work itself. It really helps a lot.
And you speak about being able working with students. So you are a lab technician at your university, in your department or your school. We spoke briefly about how your friends, you working and you're studying. How do you balance that? Is it these moments with the students that like kind of make everything make sense? Where do you find the time to be you in the midst of everything, all these amazing things that you are doing?
I think for me, what I've realized is that I really like interacting with different types of people. So my work really allows me to do that, right? Because sometimes I'll just be helping students run some analysis or whatever, and then we'll be talking about, their work. And then I get an idea of how to actually solve a part of my project, that sort of a thing. So it really literally just me getting exposed to a whole bunch of different research areas. And I think that's really nice.
Yeah, it opens the brain a little bit.
A lot.
I can imagine. Okay, so you said that you are a lab tech and you're obviously in this field of engineering, and it goes without saying that this field is obviously male dominated. It's been male dominated, and there's the representation of females, especially Black females, it's not that high. So, but I just wanted to check, is that still the case in your experience in the times that you've been in this field, or is that changing, or is there room being created to allow for more diversity, not only being females, but just maybe Black males, or, because this field was very captured in terms of like it being very exclusive. So what's your opinion on that?
I think when I started out, there weren't a lot of older woman in engineering. So when I started out, there was just maybe like a bit senior, 2 years senior chemical engineer, like in the field, right? But I don't think getting women into the field is the problem, right?
Okay.
There are many women that are trying to get into the field, and they are, because 20% of, I read some research last year that 20% of the degrees that are earned in engineering, they are women, right? But now the major problem that's there, it's retention of these female engineers, right?
Okay.
So you get to practice, you get to earn your degree and go to the field to practice, but then the culture, because engineering is a teamwork, right? But then because there's so much culture of, women can't do this, women are not mathematically inclined, so it ends up being an alienating a job to do. So I see a lot of my friends that are leaving, like great engineers that are leaving the field. So it's the retention that's the problem, not necessarily getting women to do engineering degrees. Yeah, and it really saddens me because these women are great.
Yeah. Wow, that's such an interesting problem. I wonder, I'm not asking you, of course, but like, I wonder what the solution is, because, I think it happens in a lot of careers. Okay, what is your opinion? It sounds like you have a solution.
I think, you must just get rid of the big boys clubs, because I think it's just that thing of, we are men, we can do this better than you. You can't sit with us. So they'll probably include you like in the conception of a project, right?
Yeah.
And then take all of your brilliant ideas, but then when it comes to execution of those ideas, then they start alienating you, that sort of a thing. And they're not accommodative. So imagine you are here in the inception of a project, participating, but then when that project takes off, you get alienated. You are likely to just leave.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, why waste my energy where it's not being appreciated? Like,
exactly. So yeah, and it really saddens me because I've met, my mentors have been really great. I know if everybody, when they ask him like, who is that person that really shaped you, it's a female engineer, right? She was great and she continued to do great things, but chances are they might not stay in the field,
Sure, that's really, really sad. And you're right, we have that's the only way. That's definitely the only way. Get rid of, they call it the ivory tower in science, the big boys club. And even we can even go down to race as well here, because I think I'm sure we can also get a little bit racial. But so for you, then knowing that the people who've gone ahead of you, females in particular, or even people of color, Black people who've gone ahead of you, are experiencing this problem, does that then make you think twice about going into industry, or does this then make you go like, oh, you know what, let me just stay in academia? So where do you see your career trajectory going, given that what is coming, like what's coming? Yeah.
So when I started out, I worked in research industries, right? It's not necessarily big mining plants and all of that. So, but I think I always lean towards more of research industries, not necessarily go to the plants. And because I think for me, this is not even about the interaction with male and the toxic industry. It's just leaning towards
your desire, based
towards my abilities, because I think I find research easy for me to do. So I'll always lean more towards that.
No, it makes sense. And honestly, I wish you all of the best with that. And like, you are still going to do so many great things. You are literally at the precipice. And with that being said, as we close up our really amazing chat, as you shared to us your story, what golden piece of advice would you give to somebody who is listening and has heard your journey, be it about science or your field in particular, or just about life?
I think for me, for the most part, is that, find your tribe, find something that you're really good at and really strive towards being the best at that. Life is so easier when you are doing something that you really, 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 really love, that links to your values, links to your goals, and how you view the world. I mean, for us as Black people, especially in research, I don't think we have that lenience to be able to just do just only fundamental research, but to also try and find this tangible problems in our communities amongst ourselves to try and solve. So I think that's what is going to make us want to stay in the field, want us to, succeed at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And thank you so much for that wonderful piece of advice. And also just sharing about your journey, as one of our big number one fans. Thank you also just for continuing to support and for commenting. I really appreciate you. And I get so excited when I see your tweets.
Thank you so much. I think it's my great companion when I go and come back from work, because I'm always like, okay, so now there's a new episode on. This is my companion to go home. So and then I put on my headset and then listen to the episode. It's so nice. So
thank you. So you heard
and
that.
You're really good at it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh gosh, I'm blushing now. I don't know what to say. Thank you. And to everybody else who's tuned in, thank you so much for tuning to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl and with an E. Until next time, goodbye.